what message do you have for maybe some trans people that's going out there and experiencing the same thing? How can they be themselves?
Okay, I always advise the future generation of trans people in Malaysia is that you know, get your education first. Get your education first, and once you are, you know, well equipped with your education and everything, then you start your life. And for those who are going for an early transition, do not force yourself to be, you know, because this is the mistake that a lot of trans people do. They want to be accepted so much, to be a part of the society, to be a part of these boxes, right, that they forget about themselves, right? And this is where I tend to talk about sex reassignment surgery, because most of the time people think that the main priority of a trans person is about sex reassignment surgery. No, it's just, those are just plus points for trans people. The main part of it is self-acceptance, which I always emphasize on that. Once you accept yourself, once you understand about yourself, then you think about the other steps of it.
So you mean that you mean to say that some in the community actually think that sex assignment is the thing to do? It's like the goal.
It's because of social construct. Even, I must be honest, even myself, I was a part of this social construct where I think that a woman's supposed to look like Madhuri Dixit.
Okay.
Where I assume that a woman's supposed to be like that, you know, and I forget about my own health. You see, I have BP, blood pressure, when I was 28 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to you know, taking hormones and everything, right?
Okay.
So there is repercussion of my action. You know, I don't blame anyone. I blame myself for not getting the right information. That is what I'm trying to spread now. Giving the right information for trans people, for them to make the choice.
How do they actually, I mean, how did you get all this information? Like, from where you get the hormone pills? Yeah.
Sadly, in Malaysia, it's difficult, but I do get information from my allies, basically. Like, I'm also a part of WPATH, the World Health for Transgender People, so that's where I get information. I mean, information which is updated all the time, you see. And I'm also a part of regional and so international network of trans people. So we do share information here and there in regards of trans health and, you know, whatsoever. But coming back to the topic again, you know, it's when I say giving this information, I'm not encouraging.
Oh, you don't?
I don't encourage people. I don't say you have to do this, you have to do that. Giving that information so that they can make their own choices.
Informed decision.
That's right, informed decision. Rather than just going to Thailand, giving the doctor that doesn't really think about your health, but think about the money.
How much does it cost?
For now, for top surgery, it's like around 5,000 to 6,000 in Thailand, Malaysian ringgit, yeah. And for the bottom surgery, it's around 11,000 to 13,000.
It's quite costly, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is actually even more costlier for trans men, actually.
Oh.
Yes, yeah, it could reach out to 100,000 ringgit Malaysia.
100,000 ringgit?
Yes.
For trans men?
Trans men, yeah. We always talk about trans women, but we have to remember that there are so trans men existence here in Malaysia too. Yeah.
But the trans men are not actually very much discussed.
Yeah, and I think so. A lot of them are they're just afraid. You know what happened if then they'll be targeted. You see, and then I mean, I just read in the news that there was a father basically raped his own daughter, who is lesbian, that want to change her, you know. So imagine if it was a trans man, you know, things will happen to people. So I do understand why they are not so open about it. But again, we need to make we need to also include them in our fight towards equality too, right?
So you know, you mentioned something about gender identification. What was I was actually trying to ask. you have a role model as what sort of women should be. That's a social construct. But what you're trying to tell people is just be yourself.
Yes.
You don't have to look like someone or, you know, have big breasts, nice ass, that type of...
curvy shape, and, you know, Coca-Cola bottle and everything.
Yes. But you have been through the same phase, like any of the girls.
I have to admit it. I have to admit, yes. And I do not want those girls to go through what I've gone through. You know, I want those girls to have the information that they have towards, you know, because they have their right to health. And health, it includes all those stuff, you know, hormones and everything. That is their right to health.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I just hope that they will not do things without knowing what they are putting inside them. Because we have a lot of cases of trans people going to the extent of, you know, silicone injections and everything that actually come harmful towards them too. But I don't blame them. It's because of the banning of sex reassignment surgery in Malaysia. Because before this, doctors gave information in regards of this. They basically gave you like 2 years support system, you know, with a gynae, with a psychiatrist and everything. So you are basically well informed about, you know, what will happen here and there and so on. Now, when they basically ban everything, they're actually making the community going out underground and getting information which is not relevant, you know. So, yeah.
Or maybe endangering to themselves.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, because you talk about like access to health service, so maybe we can talk about the level of social acceptance of trans people in Malaysia. How well or how unwell that this community is being accepted into our society. Yes.
Again, based on my observation, it depends where we are. And so far, on my own experience, you know, advocating on trans rights, I noticed that the younger generation, they are more open, you know. They are more open and they can basically accept, you know, trans people as being a part of the society and so on, which is a positive side. The main problem that I have is all this, I wouldn't want to use the word old, but the seniors, right?
Yes.
All the seniors are the one that I find difficult for them to accept this diverse community. But again, I'm a very positive person. You know, the seniors wouldn't be there all the time. So we have this younger generation. So I see a positive change in the future. Maybe not in my time, maybe in the future and so on. But it's all about hope, and I have hope.
So, like for you, take you for instance, when you go onto the street, does people still look at you with a kind, like, you know, they still stare at you or something?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends with who I am. Because when I go in public with my partner, people don't really look at me. It also comes back to how we present ourselves. And I always tell this to my community: we can't be, you know, hoping and wanting the society to accept us. We have to play the role to be accepted by the society. It's both ways, right? So it comes back to us again, how we represent ourselves in public, in the society.
Do you try to blend in?
I wouldn't say I'm blending in, but I'm just trying to not to be targeted.
You know, because the reason that I asked is because my colleague raised a point which I think is very relevant. She said that if you are like in a better position as a trans person, you know, you can, maybe you're lucky you have better silicone implant and you look really blended into the community and you're not that obvious. But you know, for some trans people, maybe they cannot afford all those things. So their outlook will be very apparent that they are trans. So they will be targeted. Yeah. So is that a situation like that?
Yeah, I think the term would be whether you are passable or not.
Passable. Yes.
Right?
Passable.
Passable, right? Sadly, in our society right now, I mean, being passable is also important. Again, when you are targeted, you can never know what's going to happen. You can never know who's going to come to you and say words to you or whatsoever, right? But coming back from a trans perspective, about my own perspective, I believe that if we want to be a part of the society, we need to normalize things. We need to normalize trans rather than saying that this is something different. Like for instance, I always say that I don't fight, there's no such thing as LGBT rights. For me, we are all human beings and we are all fighting for same human rights, you see? And the basic human rights to have, rights to education and all those stuff, and of course right to be protected by the law.
Yes.
Right? Right? So it comes back to the community ourselves to make sure that, you know, what we do, what we say, how we act doesn't, how do you say it, become like something which is out of, like a taboo. You know, we need to stop that. We need to make people understand that we are just as like you. I am you, you are me. You know, we are just human beings. That's the main thing that we need to do.
Are they actually, because you have been raising like issues like the religious authority, and we've been talking about Muslim community, Muslim and non-Muslim transgender. Are there any differences in terms of treatment by the society at large for trans people from different races?
You mean as part of as being whether you're Chinese?
A Chinese trans woman, or an Indian trans woman, or a Malay trans woman?
Okay. I mean, if you go to Chowkit, for instance,
yes,
right, or any areas, you can see a lot of Malay and Indian trans, which is basically there. Chinese is very minimal, and I would say, because I do live in a Chinese area back when I was back in Malacca, right? The acceptance of Chinese community towards trans or whatsoever is more open, right, compared to the other races. As for Indians, I mean, I'm also half Indian, right? I find it that my Malay family is more receptive.
Oh,
yes, my sisters and my brothers, we are different mother, same father.
Oh,
right?
okay.
They are very open towards me as being who I am, and you know, my nephews and so on. But when it comes to my Indian family,
your mom's side.
my mom's side, before that, it was difficult. They didn't really acknowledge. Before
what?
Before me being open about as an advocate.
Before you don't care me.
Yes. So it was difficult, and it's really funny though, because there's a lot of cases of Indian trans women being like, you know, chased away from their house like when they're like 15, 16 years old.
Where do they go to?
Where else? They have no choice but on the street, because with that age, with no proper education and everything, you can't leave. And a lot of people, sadly, a lot of the mainstream media tend to portray trans as being that, you know, sex work. But you have to understand, why is it trans are being into that work? It's because of the society, it's because of the law, it's because of the situation.
Is it because that you guys don't really have, I mean, there's the opportunity to be gainfully employed?
Yes.
You don't have the opportunity.
Okay. A lot of trans, even though they are, you know, qualified for the position, they will not be judged because of that. They will be judged because of their appearance. And I've heard cases of trans people going for interviews, and you know, at the first glance, they just say, okay, even though the position is open, but they will say it's closed.
Oh.
Yeah. So there is still an issue of employment towards trans people, and sadly, it's happening till today.
So they have to resort to sex work because they need money too.
Yes, and people need to know we are human, and we need to eat too, right? So we need to survive, right? So I do totally understand, you know. So yeah.
I mean, even doing sex work, right? But you guys were still being targeted, raided, and all those things. Can you just explain some of the things that maybe the sex workers would have gone through in Malaysia?
You know, there is a lot of unreported cases of trans people, especially those involved in sex work and everything, that they face hate crimes and violence, whether it's by the enforcers, whether it's by the public and so on, but it's all unreported. Do you know why? Because most of them feel that if they were to report it, nothing will happen, or they will be blamed because of it.
Are they afraid of going to the police?
They are very afraid to go to the police because they feel that they are not protected by the system, by the lawyer. I mean, you can't blame them, you know, just by the way certain politician and in the media portrays LGBT, say so. You know, if you look at the banning of Beauty and the Beast itself, you know, I still just don't understand why.
Well, they unbanned it. That's the latest news now.
I need to get that updated. But, yeah, but again, I mean, the whole concept of banning a movie for LGBT, that shows how do you say this? You know, how I would say it's just something which is just not relevant. You know, something that you don't think about it, but they are doing it here in Malaysia. So that applies towards the life of a trans person, and between this LGBT community, the trans are most affected. Do you know why? It's because of our visibility.
Oh, you're out there.
We are just out
the way
there.
that you
People
dressed.
could recognize us, you know, and it is very sad that I have a group in Facebook, Malaysian Trans Woman. A trans woman just went to change her ID in the registration department, and she was basically laughed at, and the question being asked to her was like, "Which toilet do you go?" She wanted to change her ID to a new ID, but that question was asked to her.
Then the ID was not even, she was not even asking to change her sex, right?
No. She just wanted to renew her ID to a new picture of her. But then she was asked that question. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. What about because I read somewhere that the raid were conducted so much that, you know, sometimes the trans people, they don't carry condoms, the sex worker. Is there such a threat? Is there such thing going on?
Yes, it is, because I was informed by the community that these safe kits or condoms will be used as an evidence.
I heard bra as well.
Everything. Even their shoes, their lipsticks and everything will be used as an evidence to basically, you know, arrest them.
So when trans women is being picked up by the authorities, what do they do to them?
What do the authorities do to them?
Yeah, the procedure. I mean, how do they do it? Because
if it's the police, basically they will bring you to the station, and then they will end up asking you to go for urine tests and everything. And sometimes they will put you in lockup, like for remand and everything, and you'll be end up in the male's lockup. And guess what happened to you? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the police. And if it's the Jabatan Agama, the religious department, the next day they will bring to the magistrate and everything, and they will try to bring them to the Sharia law, which is sections for cross-dressing. So if you are...
So when they take your attire, right, as evidence, so they strip these people naked?
I do get a lot of cases where trans people were asked to open their attire in front of the officers.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were given males, you know, whether it's pants or whether it's just the sarong or so on, but they have to like change in front of them. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And that's just one side of the story. There's more than that, you know. We have cases of trans people being forced to do oral sex for the enforcers and everything, you know. But again, as I'm saying earlier on, a lot of this community, they wouldn't want to come up and speak up, and I don't blame them, because they are afraid. They are afraid that they will be subjected to the law itself.
So this case just go unreported,
it
not
goes down
investigated.
Yes.
And it goes on.
Yeah.